Hello, and welcome everyone to Garbage In, Garbage Out, Overcoming the CRM Conundrum. My name is Dawn Verbrigghe, and I'm the COO here at Nutshell. I have led and also served as the CRM administrator for 3 different sales organizations. So this problem of garbage in, garbage out, and the CRM conundrum is something that I am personally very, very familiar with. I'm very excited to be leading this webinar today on this topic. If you're suffering from garbage in, garbage out, you already know the signs. They are your sales reps aren't putting information into the system. So you'll see reps with lists in a notebook or in a spreadsheet, but you know that that information isn't in the CRM where it's visible to everybody. They're not keeping stuff up to date in the CRM. We find that the biggest flurry of activity around updating the CRM happens on Sunday night, of course, just in time for that Monday morning sales meeting. I was talking to a sales rep recently who told me that he, quote, puts just enough into the CRM to make sure that he doesn't appear on any of those lists that his manager gets weekly. Obviously, if your reps aren't putting good information into the CRM and they aren't keeping it up to date, that means that you're not going to get the insight that you need to improve your organization. In this webinar, what we're going to talk today is how you can prevent garbage in, garbage out in the first place. But let's begin by asking why. Think about the days when you first got this CRM, if you were around when that happened. Organizations implement a CRM because they want to increase revenue by making more of the right kinds of deals more quickly. So really the promise of the CRM is that it's going to help you become more efficient and it's going to help your team become more effective. On the efficiency side, it's really about centralizing all of the information that you have about all of your accounts so it's all in one place where it's easily accessible for everybody, and then standardizing your sales process across all teams and across all reps. On the effectiveness side, it's about getting the insight you need so that you can understand which activities are more likely to lead to success so you can do more of those. But the fact of the matter is about half of all CRM projects fail. The result of this is that your business objectives in implementing the CRM in the first place are obviously go unmet. But in addition to that, it's just an enormous loss of time and of money. And for the sales management, it's also a big loss of reputation. The primary reason why CRMs fail is because the sales team does not adopt it. And that's why we get garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out is really a symptom of a failure to adopt the CRM. So this is the downside of a lack of adoption. Let's talk a little bit about the upside. What you're looking at here is data from CSO Insights. And you can see what happens when an organization has a CRM adoption rate of less than 50% versus when a CRM has an adoption rate of greater than 90%. It means that as an organization, you are more likely to meet or exceed your annual revenue plan. In fact, 1.2 times more likely to meet or exceed your annual revenue plan if you have a higher rate of adoption. You're also just more likely to be a lot better at forecasting. Organizations with low adoption rates tend to do a poor job at forecasting. Organizations with high adoption rate tend to do a great job at forecasting. And lastly, this is important to your team, actually. The number of sales reps who meet quota goes up significantly when adoption increases. So 1.3 times more likely to be meeting quota if you have a higher adoption rate. This is sort of similar statistics. This one comes from the Aberdeen Group in a report whose title I absolutely love, called, quote, I logged my calls into the CRM. Are you happy now? I'm sure we've all heard similar responses to this. What they did is they went out and they sampled 104 different organizations and grouped them into best-in-class, industry average, and laggard. What they found is that for organizations that have at least an 80% active use rate or adoption rate of the CRM, the best-in-class companies were overrepresented. For organizations with low CRM adoption rates, in this case fewer than 20%, not only are the best-in-class organizations underrepresented, but look at the number of laggards in that group. So given all of this, given the direct connection between CRM adoption and CRM success and business success, what are some things you can do, specifically 6 things you can do to encourage adoption? Number 1, prioritize the needs of your sellers. According to the Aberdeen Group, the main reason why CRM deployments go bad is when they are deployed for the benefit of sales or corporate leadership rather than frontline sellers. Here's what you do. Think about, really, what are the first questions your reps ask when they wake up every morning? Most likely, it's, how am I doing against quota? And what should I do today? Your CRM should give them that information right away. That's going to make it sticky. That's going to make them want to use it. What can your CRM do to help them win more deals more quickly? Can it give them insight as to where deals are getting stuck? Can it help them identify which activities are more likely to lead to wins? Can it help them figure out what it is that the best sales reps do so that they can mimic that? And then lastly, is there a way to incorporate some kind of friendly competition, whether it's through gamification and so forth, into the CRM to make it more fun? Be wary of any vendors that focus only on your needs as a sales leader or a sales ops professional. So if any CRM vendor is focusing exclusively on reporting functionality or how to, say, import data into the CRM, they're probably really just meeting the needs of the sales managers or the sales operations team, and they're not focused on the frontline sellers that are really going to drive adoption and success for you. And finally, will those CRM vendors back it up with support for individual sellers? I see all the time that CRM companies will provide support for maybe management, definitely administrators, but oftentimes not the actual sellers who need help to encourage adoption. Number 2, trim the fat. Have you ever met a sales rep that wanted to do data entry? I'm sure that you haven't. Even I hate doing data entry. And that's why we all have to be relentless trimmers of fat. We have to minimize the stuff that the sales reps have to do in the CRM. Think about it. Is there a way that you can better integrate other technology into the CRM so that sales reps don't have to switch back and forth between software applications all the time? Can the CRM become their one go-to place? Do you really need that custom field? And if you do need that custom field, do you really need to make it required? Can marketing find another way to get the data they need to run effective campaigns? And if they tell you that the data that they're requiring is necessary for them to run effective campaigns, can they come back to you and show you the impact those campaigns are having for the sales team? If the sales team sees that, they're going to be pretty happy to provide marketing that information. And then lastly, what can you automate? I know here at Nutshell, we really focus on trying to automate as much as possible to minimize data entry for frontline sellers. And this includes things like a business card scanner so that you can scan business cards with your mobile phone, and that information just appears in that contact, and that contact is created. Things such as we have Nutshell Intelligence, where when you create a new contact, we use that information and go out and we scan social media profiles. We try to bring in as much additional information as we can to enhance that. So can we bring in the mailing address and so forth for your contacts? Look for ways that you can automate and eliminate manual data entry. Number 3, support diverse ways of working. Earlier in my career, I worked at a container shipping line, and our most important market was the Trans-Pacific. So these are imports, or rather exports out of Asia, importing into the United States. And the person who was the best sales rep in our most important market didn't use the CRM. He had this book that he had purchased on some sort of tour of duty in Asia, and it was full of handmade paper, and he would flip through this book and it had all of his contacts and information about all of the deals that he was working on. Now you probably have somebody, maybe not to that level of extremity, but you probably have somebody like that, and he is sitting in your organization alongside a digital native millennial. How is your CRM going to be able to support those very, very diverse ways of working. Remember, they both have processes that work for them. Can the CRM accommodate both of those processes? I know here at Nutshell, we think a lot about all these different kinds of users as sales reps, and we think, well, some people are more visual. And so for those people, we want to have things like our drag and drop pipeline or our map view. So if they're traveling somewhere, they can physically see on a map all of their prospects and customers who are located near their hotel, for example. Then we know some people are also just like to read the information, and for them sort of a spreadsheet or what we call list format is great, or the ability to chart that and to start to see trends in their pipeline. We provide all of that because we know that it's important to support these really diverse ways of thinking. Number 4, incorporate your sales process into your CRM. So CSO Insights has done some really, really interesting analysis on this. And what they found is that CRMs that include a more formal or dynamic sales process achieve a much higher rate of adoption. And indeed, the salespeople are much more likely to reach quota. So typically about 57% of salespeople reach quota, but that grows to 72% in the event of a formal or dynamic sales process. And what I mean by, say, a dynamic sales process is if this happens, then do this instead, right? A sales process that adapts to what's actually happening with the pipeline. Number 5, train, train, and train again. I'm not repeating the word train here 3 times just to sort of emphasize the importance of training, but also to say that there are really 3 types of training that need to occur. The first is when you do the big launch rollout. If you already have a CRM, that date has passed, and that has been done. But if you don't have it, obviously investing in that initial training at rollout is critical to getting off the ground. Secondly, you need to train every single sales rep when they come on board. And this is something that organizations oftentimes will just forget over time. Or what they will do is they'll say, well, they already have used a CRM in the past, so I'm sure they'll figure this out. Or more commonly, they've already used this particular CRM at another company, and so I'm sure they'll be able to understand our instance of it. The truth is that CRMs are so heavily customized by the companies that use them, and it's not really possible for somebody to come from another organization and immediately figure out how to use it. And indeed, they might be bringing over expectations or even bad habits that you'll want to address early on. Third, provide ongoing training. So for example, when new features come out, you should work with the team. You should also make sure that as new features come out, or if they're coming from another organization, that they're doing things in the most efficient way. An example of this that we've seen here quite a few times at Nutshell is that some people will come from CRMs where in order to see a chart, they need to export a report into Excel and then create a chart from that report. In Nutshell, of course, you can see the charts there the whole time, and you can just export the chart as a graphic file and dump it into, let's say, your PowerPoint presentation deck for management without ever having to go through Excel and so forth. But what we see is a lot of people, if they don't realize that, they're actually coming in and downloading these reports and opening them up in Excel and making their own charts and so forth. It's just a really big waste of time and not the way sales reps should be spending their time. So make sure that they understand what the most effective way is as features change. Additionally, I am dubious of any CRM vendors who do not provide support to actual sales reps. I mentioned this earlier, that a lot of CRMs will only provide support to admins. But what that means is that if you're the admin, that means that you need to field all of the questions from the sales team, and their CRM vendor is basically putting all the work on you. If the person is in the field and they have a question, they should be able to go to the CRM vendor immediately and get that question answered. Number 6, motivate your sales team. As a sales professional, you know you must articulate, hey, what's in this for me? The same goes for your sales team. You're going to have to motivate them to use the CRM. We mentioned earlier that teams who adopt CRM are 1.3 times more likely to meet or exceed quota. It's also the case that reps who follow a sales process in the CRM are 1.2 times more likely to meet or exceed quota. So there's definitely a lot in it for the rep. But you can also go ahead and incentivize them on top of this by tying compensation to usage. It could be addressed as a comp multiplier or as a bonus, or you could use public recognition as an opportunity. Regardless, you're going to need to be able to track adoption in your CRM, tie that adoption back to your business results, and then share with the team what adoption means for your organization. So with that, I'd like to land on this summary slide of the 6 things sales leaders can do to encourage CRM adoption and open it up for questions. If you have questions, there's a little box that you can click, and I'm able to see them here. I can see there's a couple here to answer straight away. The first one, we practice account-based marketing. What should we prioritize in a CRM? That's a great question. I would suggest that the most important thing to look for is a CRM that has 1 record type for deals instead of 2. So many, or maybe even most CRMs have 2 record types. There's a concept of a lead that is sort of something that marketing works on that then gets converted to an opportunity. And when it becomes an opportunity, a company page and a person page are both created, or a contact page are created to support that opportunity. It's really when it's in that opportunity phase and you have the company and the contact that the team can really collaborate on that deal. I would look for a CRM that doesn't have that lead stage at all and everything is an opportunity. So there are CRMs like Nutshells where instead of having 2 records, it's just 1 record, and the deal can be worked on by multiple people from the beginning until the end of the project. The second question, how important is mobile? Well, mobile is very important. Even if you have an inside sales team, they're going to want smartphone access to their pipeline even when they're not in the office, because again, they want to know, how am I doing on quota? This really just goes back to prioritizing the needs of your sellers. If you have an especially mobile workforce, you're going to need to make sure that whatever CRM you're using really prioritizes mobile and has great applications for them on the road. If there are no other questions, I will end it right there. And thank you very much for attending our webinar. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.